Hello everybody and welcome back to Addicted Fishing. Today we're doing a little something special. We've been getting a lot of comments from you addicts out there, and we're taking a look inside my tackle bag. The trusty old Mustad bag. This is my Steelhead bag. So we're gonna dive right in. I'm gonna show you guys some of the secrets and some of the mysteries that actually go with me to the river every single day. If you wanna see more, stay tuned. It's coming at you right now. So first and foremost, the bag itself. This is the large Mustad fishing bag. You can get them at mustad.com. You can find them on different retailers around the US. But I absolutely love these. They're water resistant. I won't call them waterproof, but they really repel the water well. And when you're out fishing in the rain and in the nasty weather anyways, you want something that's just gonna shed, because everything's gonna get wet anyways. And as you'll see, some of my stuff is a little bit wet in here still. And that's a good sign that you actually go fishing a lot. So large Mustad bag. Let's flip her open and get into this bad boy. So I got a lot of different things here. It's really just a pile of every single thing fishy known to man. But first and foremost, one of my favorite things that I always tote around in this is the little mini bag. And I keep all my line and all my worms in this one. So this is the worm pouches. It has little pouches, and I have pretty much every addicted steelhead worm color known to man in here. So I just, organize them by variation of color or size or whatever that is. And these little folders make it really easy to go through and get all the different colors in your bag without making a big mess, because I'm sure a lot of you out there, if you do fish worms, you do notice how it ends up being just a giant pile of bags of worms. So these work really good for that. This other side, I've actually taken all those sleeves out, and this is where I keep all my line. Got some extra braided if I need to re-rig a rod, somebody gets spooled. I got my my different pound test all the way up. I pretty much stick with just fluorocarbon. Got some pencil lead hiding in here in case I'm going to be doing any bobber dogging or drift fishing. And so that's that bag. It's really cool. It's really consolidated. And this is the double-sided zip bag. And it also has these little tags on the end. So if you did want to put it on your belt and just use it as a fanny pack, it works really good for that too. So, all right, we'll just start from the top and grab it all. So this is my little bead box. This is something that gets packed around all over from Alaska to back here. Got all kinds of different colored beads, some split shot, a little old spoon in here. It's good to keep a nice rusty spoon in with your beads. It keeps them fishy and it keeps them in the right mindset of catching fish. So jumping right out of that one and into the next bead box. This is my bigger beads. This one's got all my 12s, my 14s, my 10s, anything that's going to be over these trout bead size like this. I like to have a good variation of all different colors. I have some soft beads in here. I got some lured beads and some different stuff like that, but a variation of colors, variation of sizes. You never know what bead they're going to want, but odds are you're not going to have enough of them because it's going to catch fish so good. So that's the big bead box. Jumping right over to some jig heads. Just got the normal jig head box. Again, a good variation of colors, sizes. A lot of you know out there, probably just whatever you can get at the store at the time, because it's hard to always be caught up on gear. But this is my jig head box, so that's all the different colored jig heads that I can get. Going right along from that, we're gonna get down to the nitty gritty stuff. So this is all my meticulous tackle, I would say. My hooks, my bead hooks, my bobber stops, my swivels. Try to keep all this stuff consolidated in one area so that when I am rigging up on the river, if I haven't pre-tied my leaders and everything, if I do need to set up, I have my swivel, my hook, my leader, everything close by so that it doesn't take you so long to re-rig after you've been broken off, or heck, if you're just gonna change presentations. So I try to keep a good variation. Got a lot of size 4s, size 2s, size 1, all the way through. Some bait hooks here, some 1/0 with a bent eye so I can tie an egg loop. I got my 2/0 side wash for changing out my spinners. Then I have my 2 different kinds of split shot. Everything's starting to run a little low here this time of year because we've been fishing so darn much. But that's the meticulous box. That's all the smaller end things that I'm gonna use to re-rig. Now, the real secret part. I'm sure a lot of you addicts wanna see this. Now we're gonna jump into the hardware here. So, I got a couple different spinner boxes. This is my clean, shiny spinner box. This one's got all the different colors, more number 5s, some number 4s. I got a lot of those 2/0 side wash for changing out the hooks on all these. Because if you guys have ever watched any spinner tutorials on Addicted Fishing, you'll get to know that we like to fish hardware. So that's one hardware box, creating most of the weight in the bag. And then this is the one you don't want to leave home without. This is probably the biggest secret in this, is my rusty spinner box. So if you have one of these at your house, you're gonna wanna make sure to get it in your bag, because this is how you catch fish. So you're gonna wanna make sure to throw them all together, get them nice and rusty. See how it's good and rusty on the shank of that hook there. And so that way when you snag these ones up, you just break the hook in half instead of losing your whole spinner, and then you can switch it out with a 2/0 Mustad. So that's one of the big secrets there, is the rusty spinner box. Don't leave home without it. Getting down to the bare bones here now. We're getting into kind of some of the extra stuff. It's got some steelhead eggs that should be in this top pouch because I'm unorganized right now. We'll get into that pouch here in a second. That's a whole nother world. We got a bobber dogger float laying around. We got, you know, some of the worms that we've trimmed off because we don't like to litter out there on the river. Oh, so these aren't moldy yet. Some nice eggs that have been in there for a while, just in case, you know, you get the random egg bite. And then a giant bag of more worms, all different assortment of colors, different stuff like that. You never know when you're gonna run out of that one good worm that day, so be sure to have an extra little bit with you. And now we're gonna get into the top end of this bag, which is, like I said, a whole nother world in itself. Ooh, first things first, off the top, we got the yarnies. Thank you, Jacob Tooley. So a good assortment of yarnies. Basically, I go to the river prepared with everything. Everything that I think is gonna work, everything that I think might catch a fish that day. I got a giant bag of lured beads from Randy Bales. All different colors, all different sizes. You never know when you're gonna need those. And then we got the Sink It series jigs, a whole line of them. A lot of people would put these on some foam board or in some sort of jig case, but a lot of times when that gets wet, when the inside of my bag gets wet and that jig box doesn't make it inside overnight, or it's got foam in it, it starts to rust the hook of the jig. So I like to keep these in these pouches just until I use them, then I put them back in here and don't litter, or you can just recycle the jigs themselves in there. We got some extra components for the Mustad fixed floats, and this is where I keep a lot of my bobbers. So I got a lot of extra bobbers in here. As you can see, I got the entire variation of addicted steelhead eggs. I've added anise scent and different scents to all these to give them a little extra pizzazz. We got some prototype Mustad floats in here. We got some fixed floats. There we go. We got the Mustad fixed float in there. We got some half-ounce floats. We got some smaller floats. We got some clear drifts. Basically, again, just a good assortment, you know, especially when I'm out on the water, not so much even fishing for myself, but when I have clients, I have the potential of losing a lot of gear that day. So one thing that's nice about this bag is it is pretty compact. You can get a lot of stuff in it. You can sling it over your shoulder and you can pack it up and down the river, kind of no matter where you're going. So that's pretty much it, everybody. That's the ins and outs. That's a couple of the secrets, and it's really what I like to use. It's the full meal deal for any sort of steelhead fishing anywhere in the country, whether in the Midwest, out here on the West Coast, or Alaska, Canada, wherever you're going to be fishing. This is a pretty good setup and a good variation of things to have. And of course, do not forget your rusty spinners at home, or else you're not going to be catching those big fish. All right, well, there got to be a few more things in there. Oh, one thing I forgot. This one's really important. You know, if you're ever out there and you're fishing in like a real deep hole, or trying to catch the biggest fish of your life, you might want to take a little bit oversized bobber with you. This is a good float to have in the case that you're gonna have to fish some of those big, you know, like 100-foot deep pools and stuff like that. So this is one of the 100-ounce models, and you're gonna have to special order one of these bad boys if you want it. All right, what's next? Oh, don't want to forget your fire extinguisher. Fire extinguisher is always good to have, you know, for putting out flames, or if your buddy's catching too many fish, you want to put out his rod because his rod's on fire. You're gonna grab that fire extinguisher and just douche him with it. Make sure it's a nice powder one so he gets covered. Maybe throw some feathers on him or whatever. So don't forget your fire extinguisher, because that one could save somebody's life with that one. One of the most important things I like to take is an extra pair of sunglasses. Depending on what the day sky color is, I might want darker ones, I might want lighter ones, just depends. So I always got my Smith optics in there, got my little lens cleaners and everything else. So like to have an extra pair of glasses with you. And then if you really want to scare the heck out of people while you're out there, an air horn. You don't want to leave home without one of those, because you know, if you get lost on the river, or you want to just scare the hell out of your buddy, it's always good to have an air horn on your back pocket, especially. Another thing that's in here is my addicted coffee tumbler. Never know when you're going to want some warm coffee out there on the river. If you're like me, it's pretty much every day. So got that in there. I got my Gerber knife, this bad boy. Never know when you're gonna need to cut something up, or skin an elk or a deer out there on the water. To stay alive. You know, it's all about survival when you're out here steelhead fishing. And then last but not least, I got my Dave's Tangle Free weights. Got these in just a little pack I had laying around the house, so got all the different sizes in through there. And these are my lemonade beads, my yellow and my pink lemonade. So if I ever need to find those, I know right where they're at. And that's pretty much it, everybody. Actually, I think there's one more thing in here. Little, how did you get in there? Well, Little was hiding in the bottom of the bag, so you don't want to ever forget your trusty fishing partner. And so that's how awesome these Mustad bags are, is you can even fit your dog inside of them. All right, everybody, so in all seriousness, in your gear wise, you're gonna wanna have a good variation of all the techniques that work for fishing. So, you know, I have the jigs, I have the worms, I have the beads, and having all those techniques and in different variations is gonna make you a better angler and allow you to catch more fish when you're out there on the water. So if you guys wanna see more videos like this, be sure to go down here and hit that little bell notification and subscribe to this channel, Addicted Fishing. We do all kinds of entertaining, educational, and inspiring content for anglers like you so that you can go out there, have more fun, and catch more fish. Thanks so much for tuning in today. You guys stay fishy, and we'll see you out there.